So a vCISO, a virtual chief information security officer. Well, what is it? Why do you need one, or might you need one? Well, number one, not everybody needs one. Larger companies have a CISO, but smaller companies that are dealing with a certain amount of risk and want to develop a information security program do need a CISO or a vCISO. Now, CISOs tend to be very expensive. A CISO for a smaller company is often around 250,000 a year. A CISO for a large enterprise is usually 600,000 to $1 million, bonuses included, that kind of stuff. Equity in the company. They tend to bring in a lot of money. So, what would a smaller company use a CISO for? Well, a lot of times they can't afford that CISO, so they need to get a vCISO, which will kind of work on your company, uh, periodically in order to address certain goals. So that may be developing your information security policy, your cybersecurity strategy, your information security program. It may be developing, your audit and handling regulatory compliance and your DRC, helping with meeting, contractual requirements, regulatory compliance requirements, and cyber insurance requirements. They a lot of times will help develop systems and technology to monitor and respond to threats. So they may suggest EDR and a SIM solution and a firewall and maybe a zero trust solution for identity, an IAM solution, something that is like ThreatLocker or something like that on for execution protection, things like that. They may propose some layered in technology. There's no one technology that'll do this. Do everything. And if you decide to go zero trust as an organization, that's a whole architecture. It's not one solution. You may need no products to go zero trust from where you are right now. You may need 30 different products to go zero trust from where you are right now. So it's a journey. Zero trust is a journey, but zero trust can enable your company to grow faster, to do M&A faster and do due diligence faster, to bring on new vendors and partners faster. So there's a lot of things that zero trust can do that vCISO can help you with. Also, incident response planning and disaster recovery planning and attack handling planning. That's core to what a CISO does in a lot of instances. Breaches are a reality. You are going to get hacked. It's just the way it is. And it's important to have, your act together for when that does happen so that you can get it back up and running quickly, so that you can take care of that attack and improve from it and get back on your feet. That is a lot of times the organization will fire a CISO because they got breached. There is no way to prevent this. I mean, we're going to try everything we can and layer in all the security we can, but there's always a way. Whether it's somebody coming into your organization, plugging something in the wall, plugging something in to somebody's computer physically, whether it is somebody hacking one of your people and calling them and threatening them and using them as a vulnerability. There's nothing that is foolproof. And, a vCISO is there to help you plan for these incidents and help you manage them the best they can, not to prevent them. We'll try to do everything we can to layer in and monitor and manage. But, it's almost like, thinking about car insurance, saying that you're going to never crash your car is improbable. Chances are you're going to have at least a fender bender at some point. And, certain people in higher risk industries are going to get breached more. And same thing if you're driving a car in a in a high traffic, high aggressive driver area all the time, you're going to have more accidents. So it's very similar. Um, as far as where vCISO fits in, with your organization, a lot of times they're working with the executive team. So they should be working with the CEO, COO, CFO, CTO, things like that, in order to establish, what is, what are the business needs as far as security. Of course, they should be aligned and partnering up with your IT people if you have an MSP or if you have an IT team to help, get through any kind of, initiatives together. You know, convincing the executives to buy EDR is one thing, but then having IT roll it out and managing that deployment is something, and that change management with the users and getting them on board with new technology like a password manager, that takes training and a lot of investment and time. That's where vCISO fits in perfectly. Even if you have a vCISO gets pulled in a lot for little projects like that. So vCISOs usually will be responsible for some reporting, regular reporting, record keeping, running some meetings, and planning and road mapping and budgeting. And the vCISO can help you with all of that. So just because they're an outside vendor, don't be afraid to involve them in budgeting. Helping IT steering committees and things like that and governance, running the change management meetings with IT, updating that IR plan, the incident response plan, updating your policies, delivering, not only reporting, but, forward movement in improving your information security program. These are things that really a vCISO does. So one of the things that I do first whenever I start working with someone with a vCISO is the first meeting is really understanding their business, understanding what the risks are and what's important to the business, what their objectives are, how they make money, things like that. Then I usually go into, okay, what are you guys doing now? Do you have security policies and programs in place? Or am I greenfield? Am I starting out from scratch? Is there something to work from here? And then do you have an audit? Do you have compliance requirements? Where does that fit in with this? And then what objectives, what they're trying to accomplish by bringing in a CISO. A lot of times that's just a regulatory requirement. They're being told by, some organization that they need to have someone responsible for security. And whether it's FTC or, banking or credit unions, et cetera, a lot of times they're being mandated to have a responsible, qualified individual responsible for security. Banking will appoint a information security officer in that role. So, that's really important to know is why do they want the CISO there? Because that'll help guide you. That'll help you make those decisions and help you figure out how to align yourself. And once I've kind of discovered that, first the next thing is to do asset inventory and risk assessment. So finding out what's on their network, how many sites do they have, are they different hardware, software, what kind of users, what kind of risks do they have in cloud environments, SaaS applications, things like that. Where's their data? Do an inventory of all of this. And then do a risk assessment. Based on all that, what is the risk involved? And if possible, do even a penetration test, at that point. But if there's a lot of risk that's going to be, if my risk assessment shows a lot of low-hanging fruit, a lot of times I'll knock that off first and then pen test. And then, because there's no point in running a pen test if I already know that we're riddled with vulnerabilities and risk. A pen test will find all your glaring problems. If you have a lot of default passwords and misconfigured things and unpatched vulnerabilities, your pen tester will discover those, and so a lot of times you want to clean up that base level stuff before doing a pen test. But After doing that risk assessment and that asset inventory, usually next is developing an information security program and a cybersecurity strategy. So the strategy I developed first is like, okay, I have to worry about these core risks. I have to worry about this compliance or these compliances. I have these kind of resources, and the company has this kind of risk tolerance. So all these things together, what's going to be my approach to cybersecurity? And maybe have a couple paragraphs on how we're approaching cybersecurity, and then develop a cybersecurity strategy based off of that. I mean, a cyber information security program based off of that strategy. So based off of how we want to attack cybersecurity at the organization, are they cloud first companies? Are they all on-prem? Are they hybrid? What are they doing? Are they all SaaS apps? Are they a service provider? Are they a manufacturer in healthcare? This all guide your strategy, and then thus your information security program. And developing that program, just skeleting it out and kind of developing a core. This is kind of the fundamentals of a security program that will address kind of what's in the strategy. Is kind of the next thing, and then I'll form a cybersecurity steering committee, usually with IT in the organization, some other executive stakeholders, maybe finance. I like working with CFOs. Pardon me. General counsel, things like that. If the organization has one on staff, and then go from there to working with that steering committee to flesh out the pieces of this. What policies do we need, et cetera? Then I'll build those policies, and kind of agree on with that steering committee on like what those things will be. A lot of times I'll do that work between the meetings and then review them in the meetings with them and get sign off from the steering committee. And then once through that steering committee, then I'll discuss it with the executive stakeholders in the company. Okay, this is the information security program that we've come up with. What do you think? And do we have any revisions, or can we go public with it to the world, to the user base at the company, to your employees? And then from there, then we have an information security program. We have policies, and so that's really the core of it. Now, if there's compliance requirements and we're doing audit, I might be involved with that. If there's a lot of remediation, I'll lead those remediation projects. A lot of old stuff needs to be replaced, new technology needs to be put in place. If you don't have EDR, get EDR. If you don't have password managers, if you don't have MFA on everything, leading those implementation projects is next. And just following that improvement in vulnerability and risk is really, we want to see all vulnerability and risk go down as we're implementing all these things. And reporting on that and continually following that is really what I'm doing then. And, training employees, doing fish testing and things like that. So this never ends. It's always harder at the beginning because there's a lot more work, but it doesn't end. It keeps going indefinitely. There's always new vulnerabilities, new risks, new things to address, and new incidents and things like that. There's always a lot going on. So, it's a constant investment in time. All right. Thank you.